Hello everyone, I want to share my process of how I drew Luka from Alien Stage. As for those who are unfamiliar, this is Luka from Alien Stage. If you haven't watched it, please go watch it. Go watch it all. It's very important for this illustration. For this piece, I started with compiling a quick mood board to kind of set the scene of what I want to do in the illustration. So I have a lot of still life illustrations and a few aesthetic and the vibe references that I wanted for this piece. I've been lately obsessed a lot with the still life illustrations, so I've been trying to draw those more. And another important thing, I was inspired by Taemin song's Heaven, so I was listening to that on repeat when I was sketching this piece. So we started with a very rough sketch of the composition. And I don't often draw landscape illustrations. I feel like they're a bit more complicated and there's a lot of space to fill compared to like vertical compositions, I suppose. And for this piece I wanted to have Luka posing with his hands stretched out, like kind of overlooking his shoulder at us, or like kind of in that pose, majestic pose with white birds flying away from his hands in a way. And for the foreground I used a combination of few reference photos of the still life photography. So on the right we have the one with the skull, with the shell, with the pearl necklace draping out and the candle at the back. And on the other side we have the cloth kind of draping from the top of the frame with the column at the front and like the frame. And the column actually served not intentional, but it served like a stadium, like a stage, mini stage, and I put a little tiny Luka standing there and posing and flexing at his opponents. I don't know what he does. Anyway. Lastly, I wanted to have a stage with stairs. Spoiler, I forgot about the stage, so we just have stairs. Yeah, that sometimes happens. Anyway, and the planets. I also forgot about the shooting stars. Never mind. And it's time to clean it up. For the cleanup stage, what I usually call it, it's a stage where I would go in and erase the parts and make them cleaner, just basically draw in to the sketch. I don't do like a line art over. I really struggle with that, so I prefer to just clean it up and clean it up as I go, basically. I personally wouldn't recommend this for anybody who's like a beginner and sees like suddenly I just like start drawing and then it's just like line art and oh my god, it's done. It's kind of like unless you have the fundamentals. I'm not saying that I have all the fundamentals, I still lack a lot of them, but I kind of have done my years of like the basic fundamentals, so I kind of like I can kind of visualize it. So unless you're confident enough in your fundamentals, I wouldn't recommend it, yeah. And for the brush that I use, this is the brush, I'll put it on the screen, and it's been my favorite for a while. I've used it for the sketch process, basically all of it, from start till the end of the sketching part. Okay, so I'll let you guys enjoy the rest of the cleanup, and we will go color after. another thing that I really like to add to my illustrations is this really harsh shadows when I line. So when I just do my line art or like sketch or whatever you want to call it, and then I would just fill up the shadows, just straight up fill it in black. I think it's kind of a similar way to like traditional inking, what you would do, because like let's say you have just one pen and you just have to like do the shadows with that. So I would do that, and then I would do like the rake brush at the end to kind of like blend it a bit into the back into like the rest of the drawing. But it's like, I don't know, a stylistic choice, I suppose. With the sketch done, I did a quick gradient of the sky, so it's a bit of like a darker color with a kind of like a sunset. Oh no, is it sunset? It is sunset from the bottom. And then I started separating different elements. So this time I started with the main focal point, which is Luka in the middle, and I did that with this brush or like this lasso tool. It's basically like it functions like a lasso tool and it just fills it in. I don't know, last time it worked like I could just do the whole sketch and it would just fill it, and now it doesn't work, so I just have to do it like a bit by bit. So it works. And I always start with rendering or like adding the details to the skin first when I have this laid out. So I added the shadows or like the redness to the skin, make it more alive. Then I did the hair, and then I moved to the clothing. With that done, I worked on the sky. For that, I used a lot of texture brushes. It's a lot of, I'll put them on the screen. There's one that really helped is the two watercolor brushes that I used, is the bloating, I'm not sure what it's called, and the kind of like a rougher scattered brush. Kind of works like stars at the back. It works. And then I added a bunch of little tiny speckles of stars. Now once that's done, I filled in the foreground, all of it, and then I started separating different parts. So basically it's easier to color in like the whole. So I just separate the cloth and I color that in. I add the shadows with the lasso tool. Once that's done, I would do the next part, which is the birds, and then the other part, another part, another part. For the coloring part, I use this brush. Ever since I found it, it's been the only brush that I use for coloring, and it's the best, I would say. Though heads up, this brush is 10 clippies the last time I checked, and so yeah, you would have to either buy it or own or do like this. Sometimes I have like events so you can get the coins and you just buy it with that. So yeah, and then I added a few of these texture brushes on top just to give it a bit of a rougher texture. So I'll let you guys enjoy the process of that, and I'll see you guys in a little bit. with all the colors light out and shaded in, we are still technically on few layers. So what I did, I put all of the layers in one folder and then duplicated that folder. I did this one twice because I found out when it was like doubled, it looked kind of nice. This guy was a bit darker, so I doubled them. And then I started doing the lighting, and for this one I wanted to have a bit of a backlit, technically in this case front lit from Luka's POV. After I made a copies of all the layers and I have the main folder, basically I just hide it, I lock it, I don't use it, I don't touch it, it's a backup file for me. And then on top of that I merge it all together, created a new layer on top of the merged layers, and I changed the blending mode to add. And then I started using the same tool that I used last time, the filler lasso tool brush, and I just went in on the hair details, on like the edge of the face or edge of the clothing, all of that, a bit of the birds around the skull and all of that, just kind of create a bit of a pop. Yeah, sometimes I blend it, sometimes I don't, just a little bit, but it's a bit of harsh lighting, so I just kept it like that. I think it looks nice. And then I added a bit on the planets as well. I'll add some finishing touches with the overlay layer on top, a bit of a darker at the edges, some color pops and stuff like that. I did do a bit of curves. I did a bit of curves, and this is the final product. Ta-da! Eevee! This piece took me nearly 8 hours, and I'm very happy. I am very happy with this piece. I'm very proud of it. This piece was fun. I'm very happy with how it turned out. I hope you liked it as well, and I hope we all got anything out of this. Hopefully, potentially. I don't know how much you can get out of these. It was a bit of a silly process video, I suppose. I will be posting the speed paint of the whole illustration as a separate video. It will be a little bit long, but if you're interested, I will be posting it after this video is up. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you liked, please leave a like and do all that stuff. And I'll see you guys on the next video or stream or whatever I post around here. I do have a comic, go check it out. Thank you, bye bye.